provide testimony during today's hearing must first complete the sign-in slip located on the table in the back of the room. This slip must be presented to the board president before you provide your testimony. Remonstrators and persons appearing in opposition of the petition shall have a maximum of 15 minutes for the presentation of evidence, statements, and arguments in opposition to the petition. Staff will then present the administrator's comments regarding the petition. The petitioner will then be allowed 5 minutes for rebuttal and a summation of the case. Rebuttal must be limited to the subject matter of the initial presentations. Remonstrators will then be allowed 5 minutes for rebuttal of the petitioner's rebuttal evidence.
Thank you.
Sorry, I think you got here right before I did, so.
I don't know if they'll speak, but we'll just put them down here, and that way we'll...
Fair enough.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Okay, please stand for the swearing in.
Yeah.
Please.
Raise your hand. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, petitioner. State your name.
Thank you. Madam Chair and members of the Board of Zoning Appeals, can I remove my mask, or what's your pleasure?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, my children say I mumble anyway, so it's worse with a mask. So usually I'm mumbling about them. My name is Brian Toohey. My address is 50 South Meridian. I'm here representing the petitioners, CH and JL Real Properties. Here with me today is Megan Kane from our office and Jim Lamping representing the petitioner. And in these extraordinary times, thank you for having a live hearing. It's good to be doing this again live. So this is it's not a rezoning, as you would know, as being a Board of Zoning Appeals, but it's a request for a variance of development standards to allow Mr. Lamping and his partner, Mr. Huser, to build a building of about 40 by 72 feet, 40 feet by 72 feet, to allow them to add storage space to their growing heating and cooling business, which has been in Beech Grove at this location for, about 8 years, I think. And the business is doing well, and it wants to expand, and the site is zoned I-4, which is a kind of well, it's the most heavy industrial classification in our zoning classification throughout Marion County. So if I could for just a minute, I'll explain to the board. So this site is just east of here on the other side of the Emerson Avenue. So here's north. To get us oriented, here's the Amtrak yards up here, and here's Shaft Street, and Bellefontaine Street, as you can see, tees into Emerson Avenue and doesn't go through. I suspect years ago, in fact, I think I remember years ago that it did go through at one point. But the site is right here, and it's about 2/3 of an acre in size, and as I mentioned, it's zoned I-4, and here's Mr. Lamping's business right here, so it's just right across the street, and there's a home on the site now. And so the surrounding zoning is I-4, and the surrounding uses are, there's an industrial paint store right up here, there's the Lamping Huser business over here, you go across Beech Grove, there's a couple of homes over here, go across Emerson Avenue. There's a liquor store here, a couple homes here, and then you have the Beech Grove Moose Lodge. And then over here, you have, again, I-4 zoning, but that's where Beech Grove Station senior apartments are. So if we can kind of keep this area in mind now, I'll show you the next exhibit, which is a survey. So to get us back oriented, here's Emerson Avenue right here. Here's that Beech Grove Station apartments here. The paint store's up here, and here's Mr. Lamping's business right here. So this is that square I just showed you. That right there is the survey of that right there. And so what he would propose to do, he and his partners, would be to build a metal, nice looking metal pole building right here to the east of that house. And what's unusual here, members of the Board of Zoning Appeals, is when you think about it, this site, unlike very many sites you can think about, has 3 front yards. It's got a front yard here on Emerson, got a front yard here on Bellefontaine, and it's got a front yard here on Shaft Street. So even most corner lots would only have 2 front yards. You'd have one, on the north and one on the east or west. But this site, it's pretty odd. It's got 3 front yards by the benefit of being, it fronts here on Emerson, fronts on Bellefontaine, fronts on Shaft Street. These photographs here show what's around it. So again, to get us oriented, here's the Beech Grove Apartments, this the senior living apartments. Here's about where this pole building would go, right in this area here. This home will stay. Here's Bellefontaine, here's Shaft, and Emerson is right over here, right down here. And right across the site, here's Mr. Lamping and Huser's business. What they propose to do, and I'll show you the rendering in a minute, is to take all this stuff that's right here in this storage area here and be able to move it into the building that they would build right here, right on this side here. And here's what the building would look like. So this building, the north elevation, that would be Bellefontaine Street. So that view right there would be facing right here. You'd be looking right towards where their business is right here. That's where the doors would be. And that would allow them to have some extra indoor storage space and sort of clean up their site right across the street. So they put this building just east of that existing home right here. This older barn/house would come down, but we need variances because with 3 front yards, you have enormous setbacks from the west and from the east and also from the south. So realistically, without these variances, even though this site has the heaviest zoning classification you could have in Marion County, you really couldn't do anything with it without getting a variance because of these long setbacks. And so when the Board of Zoning Appeals is looking at variances, the criteria that you look at is the findings of fact, and the first thing you look at is whether or not, if you grant a variance, will that injure the public health and safety and morals and general welfare of the community. And we would respectfully suggest that allowing Mr. Lamping to build a building where he'll put all his stuff inside the building, so there won't be outside storage. He'll store his heating and air conditioning equipment. And that building's compatible with other buildings around the area. As an example, there's I don't have a good picture of it, but there's a large similar style building just on the northeast corner of Bellefontaine and Shaft Street. We don't think that will cause any injury to the public health and safety of the Beech Grove community. It's not a building that's going to be accessed by customers. It's just going to be a building that will be used by Mr. Lamping and his associates. The next question you have to address is whether the use or value of the area around this site is going to be affected in an adverse manner. And we would respectfully suggest that as I said, it's an unusual site. It sits on a 4-lane thoroughfare, and the zoning standards say that the building is supposed to have a setback of over 100 feet from the west property line. But when you think about it, on the west property line, you've got 4 lanes of Emerson separating you from the other, from this site. And between this building and those homes way across Emerson, there's this blue house that will stay there. And so he will actually spend a fair amount of money to build this building and improve it. And so we would suggest that actually the value of this lot and the value of this area will actually be lifted up by adding this expensive building onto the site. And then thirdly, sometimes the most difficult finding in a variance is figuring out, is there really a practical difficulty in using this property? And I think in this case, there is actually a practical difficulty because when you have these 3 front yards, one up here on the north, one here on the west, and one here on the east, and you introduce all the required setbacks from the 3 front yards, you take a nice size site, 2/3 of an acre, and you make it almost impossible, if not impossible, to put an improvement on there. And so you end up with a parcel of real estate that has a very high industrial zoning classification, but it's not really usable because of this odd configuration of having 3 front yards. And so for those reasons, additionally, we did receive letters from 3 close by neighbors. I know this is not that professional, but we used our stickies here. We received letters from neighbors from this person, and the person down here, saying they did not object to this variance and in fact supported it. So taking into consideration that I think the findings of fact have been met as we've suggested. I don't believe there's anyone that's objected to this variance. Perhaps importantly, the planning staff, Linda Albrand, wrote a staff report that supported the granting of this variance. And this variance will allow for an expansion of a long-standing, successful Beech Grove business right across the street from their offices. And the zoning on this site allows for this use. When you put all those together and you're kind of balancing the scales, it seems to us that this is one of those variances of development standards that warrants a favorable consideration from your board. So with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions, and we greatly appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Thank you.
Well, that presentation was very well done, Mr. Tui. We appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Does the board have any questions?
No questions here.
I'd like to ask, this new building where it's going to be, is there going to be any available parking for any reason? Would there be a reason for anything like that?
We don't think there'll be much reason for it because they have parking right across the street in their building. But yes, there's a drive here and there's all this area with a drive over here, so there would be available parking.
At a further time, possibly, then?
Yes.
Or at the time that you're proposing to do this, you would put that area in for parking?
Yes, in fact, it's already gravelled, and there's a parking area there now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any remonstrators in the room? None seen. And as I said earlier, Linda will not be here today, but she has written us a letter stating that the city does approve of this. Was there anyone else that wanted to speak today? Please approach the podium and state your name.
Good afternoon, Board. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor, City of Beech Grove. I reside at 112 North 6th Avenue. I just want to reiterate that Lamping and users' families have been long time Beech Grove residents. And their business was over on Sumner, and they moved it over onto Bell Fountain. They took an old warehouse and fixed it up, and it looks very nice. They bought the property across from there, and they've already made improvements. This is a very legitimate business. that has helped many people in this community. They are about to tear down an eyesore that has been around for a long time. And even back when I was on the fire department, we had problems with that property. So today, your choice is pretty obvious to me. You're about to make a wonderful improvement for this city, and I recommend that you pass this variance. Thank you.
Thank you.
As mentioned, Linda Albrand was not able to be here today, but she emailed us on Monday. She said, "I will be unable to attend the hearing this Wednesday since the hearing is at the same time as our commission hearing. I cannot find someone to fill in for me. My staff report will have to stand as a staff comment. I have communicated this to the petitioner for the one case on the agenda, and he is comfortable going forward without me there." Linda Albrand, Principal Planner, Subdivision Administrator for the Department of Metropolitan Development. So her report, as stated, staff recommends approval of this variance petition from Linda.
I move that we accept 2021 DVB 001 as stated.
I'll second that motion.
Those opposed? None seen? Let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you want to say
Thank you
something
for an
else?
excellent presentation.
Yes.
Did you want to say something else? No.
Thank you is all that I need to say. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you for that. No,
Oh, you're welcome.
we're done.
We're glad to have you.
Improvement.
Have at it.
You can go back to work.
Go get your sledgehammer out.
See you later, man.
You too.
The board's been presented with minutes from last month from our meeting in February. If you had a chance to review those, we need to make a motion to approve and a second to approve those minutes as presented.
I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Thank you, Rick.
Marcia's already.
Second?
Okay.
Motion approved.
A.
Favor.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None seen?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Is there anything for next month?
As of now, there is nothing for next month that I'm aware of, so I don't believe there will be a meeting next month, but if anything comes up, we'll let you know. But I think we're to the point where there won't be one.
School's out for summer?
All right?
Oh, boy.
So,
Telling you.
And we'll be voting this afternoon
Yes, sir.
on
On
Jeff's
this-
appointment to the board, correct?
Do you want me to kind of evaluate it, or what would you like me to do
Well,
for you?
right now,
he'll be
we have
appointed
appointment,
later.
but I'll be honest
Later
with
today.
you. Tori,
So later today. Thank you.
yeah, so get a motion to adjourn the meeting. It is now 1:21.
that's a close
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
But
Second?
if you would like to give
Meeting
us
adjourned.
Thank you.